So we're back with continuation with employment, and in this we are going to talk about government's role in employment generation. We can divide it into two parts, that is directly the government's generation of employment and indirectly how it generates employment opportunities. So direct generation of employment, what can you think of? All the administrative services. You can think about or other services. You can talk about the construction of dams, you can talk about the PSUs, the public sector undertakings, the hotel industry and all that, the transport companies and all that. Now, indirect generation of employment opportunities, so what are they? Now, talking about that when the goods and services are from the government enterprises flood the market, or they are good number, what happens is, like for example, let's take steel. If steel comes in and it's a raw material for many other industries, like many private industries would buy that steel, and that means that it generates employment opportunities. So in that way, just go through this. So these are what is known as that direct we have employment generation. So government and employment generation, it's a center and the state governments take many initiatives and generate employment to facilitate a decent living of low income families through various measures. That is of course there, like for example we heard about the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act of 2005. So this kind of scheme has also been implemented by the government to generate employment for those who are in need of jobs in rural areas. That was 100 days of guaranteed wage employment. So when it's an act, which means that you can go to the court if you don't get it. Anyway, so basically let's just talk about the direct generation of employment opportunities by the government and the indirect generation of employment opportunities by the government. So in the direct generation of employment opportunities by the government, the government provides for dams. It employs people in various departments for administrative purposes. It also has its public sector undertakings. It runs industries, hotels and transport companies. And in this, it's providing employment directly to its workers. So as I just mentioned, say let's take the dam construction work. It is a direct way of employment generation by the government, right up from the people, say the engineers, the architects, the workers, the daily casual workers. Everybody's involved in building up a dam, and so many other departments are involved. So let's take the indirect generation of employment opportunities by the government. So let's just dwell on it and let's just talk about it. That when the output of goods and services from government enterprises increases, then what happens? The private enterprises which receive raw material from government enterprises will also raise their output and hence increase the number of employment opportunities in the economy. For example, as I just spoke, I told you that when a government-owned steel company increases its output, what will happen? It will result in direct increase in employment in that government company, number one. So simultaneously, let's think about the private companies who will purchase steel from it. So the ones who purchase steel from it will also increase their output and thus employment. So this is a indirect generation of employment opportunities by the government initiatives and the economy. So with that, we'll go ahead.